start by going through what exactly is eDiscovery and what its purpose is in an Exchange environment. Then we'll look at the roles in Exchange which control access to eDiscovery features, performing eDiscovery and compliance searches, litigation hold, and in-place hold, which are two similar features but have different applications, as you'll see shortly. Finally, as a quick exam tip, we'll look at the integration of search with the Microsoft SharePoint Discovery Center. So first, what is eDiscovery? Well, eDiscovery is a feature set that allows you to perform searches of the mailboxes in your organization in order to find specific content. These search capabilities are usually used to locate content for investigations, such as internal human resource matters or the security incident that Globomantics is dealing with, or legal cases, which might even go as far as a trial in court. eDiscovery presents a nice friendly web portal so that discovery searches can be performed by non-technical people in your organization. Mailbox contents found by eDiscovery searches can be preserved in place, copied to another location for review, exported so that they can be passed along to another party, or they can be removed from mailboxes completely. eDiscovery access is controlled by two roles. The mailbox search role allows users to perform searches. The legal hold role allows users to apply in-place holds and litigation holds. Nobody gets access to mailbox search by default. Organization Management Role Group members, which is the highest form of administrative access to the Exchange org, gets legal hold rights, but not mailbox search rights. The Discovery Management Role Group gets both, but it's not populated with any members by default. So to grant a user the rights to perform eDiscovery searches and apply holds, you simply add them to the Discovery Management Role Group. A user who has eDiscovery rights can use the Exchange Admin Center to perform searches and apply holds. Searches can be performed for a single mailbox or multiple mailboxes at the same time. The search queries can be based on keywords, date ranges, senders, recipient types, or even message types. The searches themselves rely on the content indexes for mailbox databases being healthy and up to date. It is possible that very new content that hasn't been indexed yet will not appear in your search results. So just keep that in mind and also use it as motivation to keep an eye on those database indexes and monitor their health. We talked about content indexes in the mailbox databases course of this series. The keyword searches use a language called Keyword Query Language, or KQL for short. KQL is the same language that is used to perform mailbox searches within Outlook and supports the use of queries like Project Scorpio or Scorpio near report. So in this example, it would be searching for instances of the phrase Project Scorpio or the word Scorpio anywhere near the word report. You can learn more about KQL on the MSDM website to help you when you need to build your own eDiscovery queries. Well, in Globomantics, Dave has been asked to do some eDiscovery searches to try and find any emails relating to a particular project. So let's go into the Globomantics environment and look at performing eDiscovery searches. In the Exchange Admin Center, in the Permissions section, there's a list of admin roles that are configured for the organization. The Discovery Management Group, as I mentioned earlier, is empty by default. There are no members of this group. And the two roles that this group is able to perform are legal hold and mailbox search. So Dave needs to perform some eDiscovery searches. He'll need to add his account. This can be his administrative account or a regular account to the Discovery Management Group so that he can gain access to those features. So from his workstation, Dave can now log in to the Exchange Admin Center. And as you'll see, the access that Dave gets now within the Exchange Admin Center is far less than his full administrative account. So this account has only been granted access to Discovery Management, but it also happens to have read access to the full list of mailboxes and groups in the environment as well. So from the Compliance Management section, let's start a new eDiscovery search. The name that is given to a search will also be the name of the folder that any results from that search are stored in when they're exported to a Discovery mailbox. So you should at least give the search a meaningful name that you'll be able to recognize later. In this case, Dave is going to search all mailboxes within the organization and perform a search for those Project Scorpio keywords. Now you'll notice there are additional options for specifying start dates and end dates, so you can search within a particular range, and also search for emails from or to specific users. And in addition to that, specific message types can also be searched. But if you don't nominate which message types you want to search, it will just search all message types within the mailboxes. So let's go ahead and create that search. At this stage, we don't want to place anything on in place hold. That's something we'll come back to a little bit later in this module. And after that search has been created, it goes into a status that says the search has been queued. Eventually, that search will show a status of estimate succeeded, and it will also show an estimate of the number of items that will be found. That estimate is useful for getting a sense of how accurate your search criteria are. If you're expecting to find just a handful of emails and instead you found thousands of emails, well, maybe your search is too broad. Or if you're expecting to find some emails and the estimate comes back as 0, then perhaps your search is not accurate enough. You can also preview the search results and get a sense of what they actually look like before going to the trouble of copying them to a eDiscovery mailbox. So the mailboxes that have the most items will be listed first. We can see, for example, that Adam Wally, the CEO, has sent that Project Scorpio announcement to the sales team. And then there's some other staff members who have a few items as well. And there's an interesting one here. This fellow, Kevin Surface, well, he seems to have forwarded that email to a Gmail account, including an attachment that was potentially confidential. So there's some interesting results there. And for the Globomantics investigation, Dave would like to copy those to another location so that they can be investigated further. There are a few options here. The results can be copied to a eDiscovery mailbox, or they can be exported to a PST file. So in this case, let's just go ahead and copy those search results. There are a couple of options here. Often there's duplicate items in the search results, so this is an opportunity to deduplicate those items so that we don't spend as much time looking at duplicates. You can also do some logging, and because these copies to Discovery mailboxes can take some time, send an email when the copy is complete. There is a Discovery search mailbox already created in the Exchange organization by default, and the Discovery Managers group already has access to that mailbox. But if you were to copy the items to a different mailbox, one that you had set up specifically for an investigation, you would need to manually grant access to that mailbox to whoever needs to look at the items and continue that investigation. And when that search has completed, Dave gets the email notification letting him know, and he can go into the Discovery search mailbox, which he has access to as a member of the Discovery Management Group. And the results have been copied into a folder matching the name of the search itself. And you'll notice also in this case that the deduplication has also occurred, so you see fewer results than were available in the preview thanks to that dedupe. Next, let's look at compliance searches. Compliance searches are a little different than eDiscovery searches. eDiscovery searches can be used to find content in mailboxes, and you can copy that content to another mailbox or export it to PST or place it on hold and so on. Compliance searches, on the other hand, can also be used to remove content from mailboxes. A new PowerShell commandlet, new compliance search, replaces the search mailbox commandlet that was used in previous versions of Exchange, because that had a limitation of searching a maximum of 10,000 mailboxes at a time, so it had some scaling issues for large environments. So let's go into the Globomantics environment and have a look at removing mailbox contents using compliance search. So while checking his email first thing in the morning, Dave noticed an unusual email waiting for him in his inbox, and it looks to him like some sort of malware has slipped through their virus and spam filters, and by the looks of it has actually made it into the inboxes of all staff. So Dave is rightly concerned that someone in the organization might open the attachment and trigger the malware and cause an outbreak on the network. So from the Exchange Management Shell, a new compliance search can be created. Each search needs a name. We'll just call this one malware outbreak. All Exchange locations are going to be searched, and the query being used is searching for subject lines matching the string "your payment is overdue." Before that compliance search will run, we need to use the start compliance search commandlet to start it. The get compliance search commandlet is used to check the status of that search and see whether it's completed yet, which it looks like in this case it has. Now before going any further, we need to see what this search has found. There's a lot of information that can be returned by get compliance search, but the properties of most interest are the items and the success results. So there's quite a lot of results there, which you'd expect for a piece of malware that's been sent to every mailbox in the organization. It looks like pretty much everyone has one item in their mailbox at this time, adding up to a total of 101 items. So it's important to check the results of the compliance search before you take any action. Because again, if the search criteria was too broad or too narrow, you might end up having no success in removing the content from the mailboxes, or you may inadvertently remove too much content from the mailboxes. When you use compliance searches to remove contents from mailboxes, the items are moved to the recoverable deleted items, and users can undelete them if they need to, and eDiscovery searchers can still find them, but there's no way to bulk move them back to the original location. There's no way to reverse the action that you performed across all of the mailboxes. So you do need to proceed with caution before you go ahead trying to remove any of those mailbox contents. So when we're ready, we just run the new compliance search action commandlet targeting the search that has been run, and we're going to purge those items from the mailboxes. And after a short wait, while that compliance search action is running, the item is removed from Dave's mailbox and all of the other mailboxes in the organization as well, cleaning up that malware outbreak before it causes a more serious problem. Now it's time to discuss in-place holds and litigation holds in more detail. As you've heard several times in this course so far, the purpose of holds is to preserve mailbox contents from deletion. Holds can be applied indefinitely, or they can be applied with an end date. The holds themselves are invisible to the end users. The user can still delete items, and as far as they're concerned, the item is gone. But the hold preserves it in the recoverable items folder of the mailbox, where it can still be found through eDiscovery. Consider for a moment how important this is. Without holds, two users can send inappropriate or illegal email to each other, permanently delete them from their inboxes and sent items at the end of the day, and then, depending on your database retention settings and backup rotation, they might be lost from backup sets within a few days or weeks, or not even backed up at all. In-place hold and litigation hold solves that problem and any other scenarios where the deletion of data would cause problems for an investigation. So what's the difference between the two? It's very simple. In-place holds are based on eDiscovery searches and are applied to all content that matches the query, no matter where it's located. Litigation hold is applied to an entire mailbox, and it's applied on a per mailbox basis. So let's revisit those Globomantic's objectives again. The company wants to preserve mailbox data for 5 years, and also wants to be able to preserve mailbox data for specific cases for longer than 5 years. So let's go into the Globomantic's environment and look at applying litigation hold to mailboxes. Applying a litigation hold is performed by using the set mailbox commandlet, and it's as simple as using the litigation hold enabled parameter and setting that to true. And we can also set a litigation hold duration of 5 years or 1827 days. As you can see from the warning, the hold itself may take up to 60 minutes to take effect. And of course, if you want to enable a hold on all mailboxes in the organization, just pipe the output from get mailbox into set mailbox with those parameters again. And naturally, you're going to get that warning for each of the mailboxes as that command processes them. What about cases where we want a litigation hold for more than those 5 years? Well, it's as simple as setting the litigation hold duration to a longer period, so 3,650 days would be approximately 10 years, or if you take away the litigation hold duration and just set litigation hold enabled to true, the hold will be applied indefinitely. The aging of items for litigation hold is calculated in the same way as retention policies. Most items are aged based on the date they are created or received, and then recurring tasks and calendar items are aged based on their last occurrence, if they have one. Now let's also take a look at applying in-place holds to mailbox contents. In-place holds can be applied to existing eDiscovery searches. So for example, you could try running set mailbox search and use the previous example of the Project Scorpio investigation and set the in-place hold enabled to true. But in this case, it's going to fail because in-place hold is not allowed if a search is scoped to all mailboxes. But in this particular investigation, one user was identified as behaving suspiciously by sending confidential emails to an external address. A new mailbox search can be created just for that user's mailbox. So this is the PowerShell version of creating an eDiscovery search by using the new mailbox search commandlet. The search needs a name. The source mailboxes are specified. In this case, it's Kevin Surface. A discovery mailbox needs to be specified as the target mailbox. The same search query is used as before, and the in-place hold enabled property is set to true. Now, similar to litigation holds, you can set an item hold period, or leave that parameter out entirely, and the items will be held indefinitely. And then just go ahead and start that mailbox search so that the hold will be applied. As a quick overview to prep you for any exam questions on this topic, let's look at integrating Exchange eDiscovery with the SharePoint Discovery Center. The SharePoint Discovery Center is a feature of SharePoint 2013 that provides a very similar search interface and experience as the Exchange eDiscovery interface. SharePoint Discovery Center uses the same search syntax, KQL, that we saw being used for Exchange eDiscovery searches. The goal of integrating the two systems is to allow searches to be performed across both Exchange and SharePoint from a single interface. The requirements for integration are that the SharePoint site must be configured to use SSL, and the SharePoint servers need to have the Exchange Web Services Managed API installed as well. On the SharePoint server, the new SP Trust Security Token Issuer command needs to be run to configure SharePoint for the auto-discover URL on Exchange. On the Exchange server, a script is provided for configuring a SharePoint URL as an enterprise partner application. In the real world, you'd obviously just look up the documentation for those steps and not need to remember them, but it's just something to keep in mind in case you see any exam questions about this. In this module, we looked at the eDiscovery features of Exchange and how to perform eDiscovery searches and apply holds, and then briefly how to integrate Exchange and SharePoint eDiscovery. And our systems engineer Dave was able to fill in the remaining parts of the Globomantics objectives by using holds to preserve mailbox data for 5 years, as well as to be able to apply holds in specific cases to run for longer than 5 years. In the next module, we'll move on to some other compliance features of Exchange 2016.